Republican Constitution of 1979. A quick historical background. The military government of Lieutenant General Olusegun Obasanjo established a constitution drafting committee in September 1975. The committee began work in October of the same year. The body consisted of 49 members with Chief Rotimi Williams as the chairman. In September 1976, the Constitution Drafting Committee published a 2-volume report on the new constitution. Later in 1976, a constituent assembly was established with 190 members indirectly elected by local government units, forming the Electoral College, while the 40 members were appointed by the federal military government. The Constituent Assembly began its work on the report submitted by the Constitution Drafting Committee in December 1976 under the chairmanship of Sir Justice Udo Udoma. The work was completed in June 1978. However, some amendments were made by the government on the Constitution before it was promulgated. The next thing we'll be looking at in this class is the main features of the Second Republican Constitution of 1979. The President. The Constitution adopted an executive presidential system of government. That is, unlike what we had in the Independence Constitution and the First Republican Constitution, whereby we operated a parliamentary system of government, now in the Second Republican Constitution of 1979, Nigeria was operating a presidential system of government. What this implies is the president is now both the head of state and the head of government. You know, under the parliamentary system of government, the head of state performs ceremonial functions, and the head of state is called the president, while the head of government is called the prime minister, and the head of government performs governmental functions. But now under the 1979 Second Republican Constitution, both the power of the head of state and the head of government was vested in one person, and this person was called the president. So the Constitution adopted an executive presidential system of government, and now we have the president as both the head of state and the head of government. Let's look at some of the functions of the president. The president's powers and functions of head of state and constitution are: 1. The president has the power to sign a bill into law. The president represented the country at international conferences such as the United Nations, the African Union, and ECOWAS, the Economic Community of West African Societies. The president also had the power to control the civil service and other agencies of the government. The president had the power to control the civil service. He could appoint people into the civil service and other agencies of government. The president also had the power to appoint ministers and ambassadors. So still under the president, let's look at the term of office of the president. The president could stay in office for a term of 4 years, and he could only be elected for 2 terms, which makes a total of 8 years. Impeachment. The president could be impeached from office, that is, the president could be removed from office in cases such as 1. Sanity. If the president shows symptoms of insanity, the president could be removed from office. 2. If the president was found to violate the provisions of the Constitution, the president could be impeached from office. If the president was violating some of the provisions of the Constitution, was abusing power, is caught abusing power, the president could be impeached from office. The parliament had the power of impeachment, that is, the House of Senate and the House of Representatives had the power to impeach the president. To occupy the office of the president, to occupy this office as the executive president of the country, the Constitution stipulated some of the following conditions. First, the person must be at least 35 years of age. This means that anybody below the age of 35 cannot vie for the post of the executive president of the country. The president must be a citizen of Nigeria by birth, not by marriage, not an honorary citizen, but a citizen of Nigeria by birth. The president also had the power to nominate the vice president, which is the second in command, from the same party as himself or herself. So the president had the power to nominate a second in command, the vice president, from the same party as himself or herself. And with this, we've come to the end of this class. In the course of this class, we looked at a brief historical background to the Second Republican Constitution of 1975, that we talked about the fact that it was General Olusegun Obasanjo that laid the ground for this constitution and that laid the ground for the change from military rule back to civilian rule. We also looked at the position of the president, the change from parliamentary system of government to presidential system of government, and we looked at some of the conditions for the president to be elected into office, some of the powers that the president has, and also we looked at the fact that the president has the power to nominate his vice president, who is his second in command. With this, we've come to the end of this class, and I'll see you at the next class.